this time of the year, we have to watch little disturbances that are closer to home usually.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And right now we're seeing a lot of wind shear in the Gulf and also the Caribbean, so that bodes well for the risk, at least for the next week or so. And let's take a look at the average incidence of tropical storms and hurricanes. And you can see how it really ramps up there in August, reaching a peak in September and then comes down slowly through October. So we average about one storm every other June. And these are the areas where we typically find these storms developing in the Caribbean as well as the Gulf of Mexico, and then right along the southeast Atlantic coast, sometimes along old boundaries that sit along the coast there. So right now, we're just not expecting anything to develop in these areas over the next 5 days, certainly, and perhaps even longer than that. There is a tropical storm in the eastern Pacific. That's going to work out to the west and then into cooler water. It's not going to bother anybody over the Pacific. Now, that's a look at the wind shear. And, wind shear is something that basically kills off developing tropical cyclones. When you've got a tropical storm, it will flourish in a light wind environment through several levels of the atmosphere. If the winds are really strong, as they are right there, it just makes it almost impossible for storms to develop, though they can develop very close to wind shear. And then when you expand the picture out and you look across the central part of the Atlantic, very strong winds in the central Atlantic, which is what you'd expect at this time of the year. The reason why we tend not to find any development out there is because the wind shear stays strong until you get into the heart of the season, and that's when we start watching these waves that come off the coast of Africa and make it all the way across. But what we do know is that there is a lot of warmth in the ocean. You see above average temperatures in yellow and orange there, almost the entire Atlantic basin and the Gulf of the Caribbean above average. So there's a lot of potential fuel for tropical storms to develop. And so when you look at the forecast, here's the average column right there, forecast from Colorado State University, from the Weather Service, and from the Weather Channel. And in all cases, these forecasts are above average. And, some have argued that maybe we're entering a new normal in which we tend to see above average seasons because you've got so much warmth in the ocean. And in fact, when you look at the normals from 81 to 2010 and you look at the normals from 91 to 2020, you see there has been an increase in the average number of named storms and hurricanes as well. And that is what you expect when you've got all kinds of warm water out in the Atlantic and the Gulf.